Good evening, friends and family, and thank you for coming to another night with Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities Behind Black Business. And again, we have another wonderful guest, Yorli Huff. And Yorli has such a tremendous bio, uh, just a true testament of the strong, resilient, and beautiful people that we have in our community today. Um, and in spite of all of the things that we have going on and all of the negative conversation that is going on in our community, um, okay, Yurley's trying to get her picture straight on. This is what happens when we have live podcasts. So she's trying to get her picture straight. Okay, you're fine. Yeah,
Okay.
but I was just saying, Yurli. First of all, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come on our show tonight. We really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And as I was saying, when we get into our discussion, Yurli has such a long list of work that she has done in our community, and there's so many people out here that are doing wonderful things. And this is one of the reasons we started this organization, um, because we wanted to enhance the awareness of the great work that we're doing. We wanted to enhance the awareness of the businesses that we have in our community. And so we were just looking at the disparity and the lack of resources that are going into the Black community. And we want people to support Black businesses. So that's what Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Community is about, supporting Black businesses. Why? Because we feel like our Black businesses can help circulate the dollars in our community. We know how low that circulation is, how short it is in our community. But if we support our Black businesses, they're hiring, more likely to hire Black people, more likely to give them other Black entrepreneurs opportunities, more likely to contribute to causes, um, serving as role models for other people in the community. And so it's only for me, it just comes natural because I grew up in a era and in a community where we supported, where we have Black businesses to depend on. And so, but it's not second nature for people, a lot of our people nowadays. So that's why we started this organization. We've helped some businesses get websites. We fought for some businesses to stay open. Um, and we are great proponents of our Black bookstores. And Yorli is an author, which we're going to talk about your book some tonight as well. And to support our bookstores, we feature a Black bookstore on our website every month, and we do a cycle. There used to be 22 Black bookstores here in Chicago, as I state every week. We were down to just a few, but there has been a resurgence of Black bookstores here in the Chicago area. So we've listed all of those on our website. So if you go to rrgbc.org, you'll see all of the bookstores that we have, and there may be some that we're missing. And if so, please let us know. We'll be happy to add them to the list. And the bookstore that we're featuring for this month is the Underground Bookstore with Brother Yoel, located at 1727 East 87th Street. And his website is www.undergroundbookstore.com. And if you want some serious Black books, go to Yoel's. And Yorli's book, The Veil of Victory, I purchased a copy there at the Underground. So you can get a copy of her book at the Underground bookstore. We also have the bookstore to select a book of the month. And so Yoel had selected for this month The White Wall, How Big Finance Bankrupts Black America by Emily Flitter. This is an interesting read, and about how what our relationship is with the financial institution here in the United States. So, if you want to win a copy of that book, all you have to do is go to rrgbc.org, subscribe, and you become eligible to win the book. We pay the bookstore for the book, and we pay for the shipping to you. So there's no catch here. We want people reading, and we want you supporting our bookstores. So that's why we do this. Um, the other thing that we're doing for our bookstores is we want our local schools and our local libraries to support our bookstores. So if they would give contracts to our bookstores, it would help them out tremendously. um, Sister Nzinga at Afriware. She has a GoFundMe page out right now, and she needs some support. So we're asking you to go to Afriware GoFundMe page and support her bookstore. She has been a great supporter of our organization, so we're supporting her and asking you to help her out. Afriware is located in Maywood, but Afriware has a lot of tentacles here in Chicago, has been very supportive, a very beautiful sister. And so she needs your support. In order to push this policy, we want to get a public policy on the table that a certain percentage of contracts are given to our Black bookstores with the public schools and the library. So we asked you to go to Save Black Bookstores Chicago at change.org and sign our petition. That will help us out. And finally, we support the Southside Community Federal Credit Union. Greg Brown, who is the president of that bank, has been working tirelessly in the community for over 20 years, giving loans to people in the community who otherwise wouldn't be able to go to some of these big banks that are in our community and not serving us the way they should be. He's been giving financial literacy classes on Saturdays. And so in order for a bank to thrive and to make money, they need us to open up accounts. So the Southside Community Federal Credit Union is located at 55th and Wentworth, right there in the shopping mall at 55th and Garfield, right off the expressway. So they're right there in that shopping mall. Please go and give support to the Southside Community Federal Credit Union. So those are my announcements for tonight. So let's get into this interview with this wonderful lady that we have here tonight. Again, Yorli Huff. And Yorli, my goodness, where do I begin? You have worked as a special drug agent for the Cook County Sheriff Department. You're founder and president, CEO of Engendering Spirit, Inc., international motivational speaker, author of a book entitled The Veil of Victory. You have a Black superhero comic enterprise. And you also work as an agent. You serve as an agent to help support other people building their brands. Am I correct?
Yes.
And which I'm very impressed. Your scholarship, you work on the scholarship, you serve on the scholarship committee of the Real Hope Foundation. So we're going to get to talk about all of these things that you're doing. And I don't want to forget to mention that in recognition for all that you do and have done, You are also a recipient of the 2014 Black Excellence Award in Literature for your book, The Veil of Victory. And I'm going to show you this again. This is a wonderful read. And you also received awards, the Remarkable Women Award and the 2011 Women on Top of Their Game Award by Time Out for Youth in Corporate. And I'm sure there are many people whose lives that you have touched that would like to say thank you today for all that you have done. So that's a lot. That's a lot. So, Yorli, let's begin. I'm going to let you begin this conversation the way you would like to start it. Um, first of all, are you from Chicago?
Yes, the West Side.
West Side. Okay, from the West Side of Chicago. Absolutely. And you started out in your biography and also in your book by talking about your challenging beginnings in life. But you can just tell us what you would like to tell us about who you are and, growing up on the West Side or some of those challenging beginnings. You can start out with that.
Well, thank you so much again for inviting me to be a part of your program. Um, I'm privileged and honored. Like you said, I'm Yorli Huff. I am CEO of two corporations, one of which is Engendering Strength, Inc., which is a corporation that's based on my true life story. I'm a former undercover drug agent. I was with the Cook County Sheriff's Police and I was discriminated against. I got evidence against my employer and filed a complaint internally, and in turn, they threatened to kill me. I had to go to the FBI to get my charges approved with EEOC, and after an 11-year legal battle, I won.
Oh my goodness.
So the
But yearly, I mean, first of all, how you were young. If I recall, you were in your 20s
yes,
when you took this job.
yes,
And I mean, a drug agent, that's a serious job.
yeah.
How did you uh, decide to do that? What happened? What led you down that path?
Well, I come from a family of law enforcement. My granddad in World War II was one of the first black military police. My uncle has been the chaplain for CHA, and he works on another department now. My mom worked for the jail, Cook County Jail.
Okay.
My uncle's wife was a state trooper. Um, so it came naturally. I didn't desire, I thought I would be a lawyer or a doctor or something.
Hmm.
But as fate would have it, I was a secretary and my boss was dyslexic. So it became a very combative situation. And so the jail was hiring and CPD was hiring.
Hmm.
So I took both of the tests. And on the CPD test, I qualified, well qualified, in the hundreds was my score, over 100. And unfortunately, they disqualified me on the psychological, which there was a big lawsuit about. And then I ended up continuing on interviewing for the jail guard position with Cook County. And President Clinton was in office and he initiated the war on drugs. So he was giving out a lot of federal grants to combat for drug intervention. And so the sheriff, who was Sheriff Sheehan at the time, had applied for this grant. And I go through the whole process for being a jail guard. And my last step was a meeting with the head of Department of Personnel. And so I interviewed with him, letting him know my plan, that this wasn't going to be my only step, that I wanted to go on to be a federal agent,
Hmm.
and that this was just a stepping stone. So that was a Friday. Saturday, he called me at home and told me that the sheriff had just gotten this grant from President Clinton and the war on drugs, and they were creating a task force, and he wanted me to try out for the task force. He told me that he would save my job at the jail, and that he would just call me and let me know where, where that part of it was a multiple step interview.
Hmm.
And so wherever they were meeting, he would call me and tell me where to go and where to be. He said, "Don't worry about anything. I'll be there." And he said, "You want to be the police, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah." So I continued on through another series of panel interviews and training and a whole plethora of interviews. And everyone, he was there. And I found myself in rooms full of white men who had clout. Some political person or some person with clout or pull or connection sponsored them to get to where I was.
Hmm.
And I noticed I was just sitting in a cut, just watching them pull out their badges, tell their stories, who they know, who sent them there, how they got there. And
Hmm.
I never would say anything. So I was just like, wow, so this is how it really goes down.
Wow.
And I got selected. And then we went through a whole series of training with the Cook County Sheriff's Police, the DEA, the FBI, the Secret Service, the IRS, the U.S. Postal Inspectors. We did ride-alongs with CPD, gang unit, TAC unit, and I ended up getting selected to go undercover. They just came to the academy one day, and I guess they just chose who they wanted to. There were two parts to the grant. There was an overt part and a covert part. So they selected me for the covert part, and I became a undercover drug agent.
So is this what you wanted? Is this what you were aspiring towards, or they just?
I had no idea, but I believe either you're a part of the problem or you're part of the solution.
Okay.
So I was more than willing. I was excited, and I grew up in K Town, so it was gangs,
Okay.
drugs, and prostitution all around us.
Yes.
Although back on the block during those times, you had families, and we had a family building. Nobody bothered us. Nobody, it was just around. And I was like, "Oh, you're gonna pay me to do this? Okay, I can do it, no problem."
Hmm. So your job was to what was actually your response? What were your responsibilities to?
So, as an undercover drug agent, we did undercover drug investigations. Our unit was primarily focused on the south suburbs, Harvey, Robbins, Phoenix, Dixmoor, Markham. They, at the time, had a high level of corruption all the way up to the mayor. And so we would go in at various levels and do drug intervention that included buying and selling drugs, confidential overhears, surveillance, search warrants, um, partnering up with federal agencies, state agencies. I actually ended up working in the whole state of Illinois because they didn't have a lot of Black agents, and let alone Black female agents. So my presence was requested all over the state.
So did you see the disparity in terms of where the drugs actually were? Because there's always the conversation that drugs dropped in the Black community had a huge impact on what the demise of the, especially like the West Side. Did you see
Yes.
did you see a disparity in where the drugs were?
The disparity, yes, and there was intent behind flooding the Black communities with drugs, yes, but there is not a community where drugs does not hit.
Okay.
It becomes even more of a disparity because of the socioeconomic status of those who are using drugs.
Okay.
So, making drug arrests and of defendants in the Black community meant that you would get processed and you would stay in lockup until
Mm-hmm.
affecting arrests in the white neighborhoods. They always had bail money because they had to go to work. They were functioning drug addicts.
Okay.
So you would process them, they would make bail or have an attorney, the ability to get legal um, representation very quickly. So then within a very short period of time, they were back on the street and they were going to work.
Okay. And so you said the corruption was high all the way to the top,
Yeah.
all the way to the top. So
Yeah.
did you feel like the task force that you were a part of was able to have some kind of impact on it? You know,
I know that my contribution definitely had an impact.
okay.
Now, as far as um, the task force, the overt, yes, but the covert, um, not so much. But yeah, because being white, you can only get so far and so close.
Mm-hmm.
And being Black was definitely had its advantages in maneuvering through neighborhoods and cold cutting and getting to sources and getting people to cooperate.
That took courage to take on that job and that responsibility. That took a lot of courage. And I know one part of your book that I was reading where you talked about the veil
Yes.
and the protection that you felt that you had, just people come here knowing what their position and what their purpose in life is, and it seemed like you knew that you had to have some confidence and some that you were protected, to take on a job like that. Because when I said, wow, a drug agent, that's serious.
Well, like I said, I grew up in that environment, so it wasn't anything that was foreign to me.
Okay.
Um, it's just a matter of being a chameleon and maneuvering through and speaking and talking and the mannerisms. So it wasn't anything other than what I grew up with or around or surrounded by.
So how long did you do this?
I was there for 5 years.
There for 5 years. Now you
Yes.
said you ran into a problem, where uh, you had to go to battle. I understand you went to battle for like 11 years.
Well, the battle began day one when I walked in the door, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I did not realize or understand what discrimination was. And
Hmm.
over a period of time, it became obvious. So just little things that you wouldn't even think of, like we all got undercover cars, brand new undercover cars.
Okay.
And I got the car with manual windows.
Okay.
Well, you might say, well, it's a brand new car. What difference does that make? Well, it makes a whole lot of difference when you're on the street and you're trying to do drug transactions and you're trying to roll up on each other where people can just hit a button and the window comes down. I have to roll down the window,
Okay.
do what I'm going to do, and roll the window back up.
Okay.
And you can't drive and roll the window up and do your activities. So just very from the very smallest thing and not um, recognize on the onset the bigger picture of what was really going on,
Hmm.
um, then it snowballed into some really, they threatened to kill me. So we go from minor disparities to death threats over time.
Okay. And so you were able, you chose and were able to fight against that, and you
Oh
won.
yeah. Well, one thing I know growing up on the west side, we don't sell no wolf tickets. And as you come with the threats, you could talk all you want, just don't put your hands on me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I did gain very quickly the knowledge that white people play a psychological game and black people are emotional and reactionary.
Right.
And so because I did not fall into the norm of the black person,
Mm-hmm.
then that caused some heightened responses.
Uh-huh.
And so when I understood what the psychological game was, I began to play myself and they couldn't handle it because this life is chess. It's never checkers. It's
Mm-hmm.
never immediate gratification. It's always delayed gratification. It's strategy. It's movement. It's thought. It's critical thinking. It's thinking steps ahead. And it's thinking, if I do this, then they'll do that. And that's going to cause that reaction. So it's moves and strategy 12 steps ahead. And
And
we quickly often lose because we're playing checkers. We want immediate gratification. We want to get crowned. We want to take over the entire board right away. And as soon as we sit down at the table, we have lost because we're playing the wrong game.
so did you get legal? You had legal defense?
Yes, Judge Eugene Pencham, Andre Grant, and Tiffany Ferguson were my first set of attorneys.
Okay.
When we finally, it took us 7 years to get to trial, and they
Wow.
had confessed. I have taped confessions
Mm-hmm.
of everything they told on each other. I still have those tapes to this day.
Okay. So
So it took us 7 years to get to trial. It was a 22-day trial. They set my house on fire during the trial. They sat up in the courtroom on breaks talking about how they were going to make me cry on the stand.
hmm,
And in the courtroom, they were just throwing my things around
wow. That's
every day.
that's ugly. That's terrible. But it's, it's when it comes to discrimination, you know, and black people in America, it's unending, and
Right. It's never
it's
ending. And
it's
it morphs into different things. It's not
uh-huh.
the obvious. It's always morphing and coming. It's multi-layered. It's multi-dimensional. It's unbelievable to see the lengths that people will go through to suppress and disillusion
Hmm.
themselves,
Wow.
really.
And it's like during the civil rights movement, I think, black people won, we won some benefits. We were able to get dollars to go to college, and I think what we didn't realize is that they, as soon as before the ink dried on whatever they signed, to give us, they were already working against it. They were still working against it, and we tend,
Well, it never stops.
yeah,
It never stops.
and we always
So,
get to a point where we start to celebrate. When something happens, we start to celebrate.
right,
No, we need to stop celebrating and
right,
understand that this is a
right.
continuous thing that we have to.
Continuous multi-level, multi-tier issue, problem,
Mm-hmm.
and that it is someone else's problem
That's right.
that is forced upon us.
Mm-hmm. And so your story and your perseverance and the position that you were able to take, the perspective that you were able to take, is what enabled you to persevere here, to get past all of this. Because, like you said, most people would have given up, but because they don't understand the game.
No. And they definitely didn't understand anything about me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because
So it didn't matter what they did or how they did it. I was going to win. That was it. There was no discussion. There was no need to discuss anything else. There was,
so you worked there 5 years. Your case went on for how long?
it took us 7 years to get to trial. And then another four for us to win. During the trial, they confessed and they said, yeah, we called her a nigger. We called her a nigger so much, we call her a nigger in Spanish.
Oh
And we
Lord.
call all the niggas that. So
Mm-hmm.
what's the big deal?
Mm-hmm.
So they were found not guilty at trial. And then I had to get another set of attorneys to file appeal, and I won on appeal.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you didn't give up. I'm glad
Absolutely.
you were who you were, and I hope that you would can inspire some other people, to help awaken some of our people out here, because we find ourselves in situations and you really don't know what to do.
Exactly. Yes.
You
That's
do.
what the whole entire enterprise is about. I use various media and various forms of sharing my experiences so I can reach the masses. So, from children, babies, children, young adults, teenagers, to adults.
So what would be your advice? Because so many people find themselves in situations where they're being discriminated against and especially in the workplace. I mean, I look at what happened to the black teachers in the Chicago public school. I'm sure if someone, there
The
were some.
CHA residents, we could
Yeah,
go on and on and on and on and on.
I mean, but what would be your advice, some fundamental things that people need to begin to think about uh, when they're in these situations, even when you're in the workplace, not just when the discrimination faces you, you know.
So, the first thing you want to do is document
Mm-hmm.
everything. If it's not documented, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, that um, getting your documentation together, detailing names, um, individuals that were involved, what was said, who said it, the time,
The date.
uh, the
Sure.
date, uh, what they were wearing. That's the very, very first thing. And then secondary is the decision to decide what you want to do with your documentation. I think that it needs to be a very thought out, strategic plan if one should decide to fight. And I think that should always be the decision. It should never be a decision not to. But I'm speaking from me. I do realize that people don't have it in them. They don't know. They don't understand. But it doesn't get better as long as it is allowed to continue. And it doesn't mean that it's going to stop after you decide you're going to fight. So I fought and won, but they kicked me out. The guilty parties are still working and have been allowed to retire.
Mm-hmm.
And I was blackballed from because of it.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
the second decision is, what are you going to do with the information? And hopefully you will find the strength and decide to fight. And then once that decision is determined, then the rest is strategy. What are you going to do? Because certainly they're not going to like it. They're going to want to make an example out of you. They're going to torment you to no ends. You will not have any peace unless you've established um, your religious beliefs and have strong acumen in that area. And then it needs to be a thought about financially. How are you going to continue to live and survive? Because the game of the court is delay and continue.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thought is, what nigga you know can afford to continue to pay attorney's fees
Right.
at $3.50 an hour as long as we can draw this out. Like I said, it took me 7 years to get to trial, but the case had to be filed. There was investigations going on. There was documentation being created. There were stories being told. Verification has to occur.
Well, that's usually problem people run into when you have to pay an attorney, um, and you got to trust your attorney.
Yes.
That's another thing I've heard. I've just heard stories, of people, when I got an attorney, well, I think that the attorney and the judge was in cahoots and they took all the money.
Right.
I've known people to put, 30, $40,000 down trying to help somebody get, and the money just disappears.
Well, you have to vet your attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand that you need someone that looks like you, that understands your struggle and is willing to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not um, unusual for judges and attorneys to run in the same circles.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they become judges.
Okay.
It's chess, it's not checkers, it's never checkers.
Well, I'm sure with the family, your family lineage and the criminal justice system, I'm sure some of that knowledge um, and direction was helpful.
Well, what was helpful
No.
was my grandfather was a minister, and I knew how to pray if I didn't know how to do anything else.
Okay.
And growing up on the west side, we don't take well to getting our ass whooped either. So that wasn't going to be an option.
Mm-hmm.
So I think God knew who He made me to be, and He chose me to fill those shoes at that time, and I served my purpose on that mission.
Okay. Well, I congratulate you on your accomplishment there, and that you are continuing to share this information to help inspire, you know, other people that find themselves in these types of situations because it's happening out here, and
All
it's
day, every day.
not going to stop.
No.
It's not going to stop. So that leads me to your book. Can you
Yes.
give us the inspiration and behind this book that you wrote, The Veil?
Well, um, after being mad as hell because somebody thought they could take my job and get away with it because I was a
Mm-hmm.
black female,
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to pitch for a movie deal. The story is very titillating. It's factual. Um, it's unbelievable. The truth is stranger than fiction. So I wanted to pitch for a movie deal. So I ended up attempting to write a script, and the book manifested itself into a book. So I honored that and self published, and it's in the Library of the Congress as well. Um, it tells, it entails multiple um, issues. So it's very meaty, although telling a story from my birth and to the settlement of this case. Um, I then took my character and created a comic book and cartoon enterprise for the children and teenagers
Mm-hmm.
to engage them in reading, to inspire them, encourage them, and enlighten them young. And then I am a sublimation manufacturer. I've gone to China to source materials and blanks. So I manufacture my own gear that's on the website.
Okay. Okay.
And I have prototypes for my action figures. I have fragrances. I have shoes. Anything I can think of to make or create, that's what
Okay.
I do.
So this has been an unfolding.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
and
There's no way I would know on this side,
that you would be here.
on the other side, that this side was to come.
Okay.
No way.
If I may read one of the reviews of your book, uh, was from the author Victor Wood,
Yes,
who wrote a book, who kind of came up on the other side of the tracks
yes,
as a black person, but he had his challenges too.
yes.
Okay, but he said that Yorli Huff gives a straightforward and sometimes frightening account of her life, which can only be viewed as nothing less than a triumph of the human spirit in an unshakable will to succeed against all odds. And that's
Yes,
what he got from reading your book.
yes.
And it kind of reminds me of, there's a movie called The Rabbit Proof Fence,
Okay.
and it's about the Aboriginal people,
Hmm.
and they were taking the mixed breeds. They were taking the children away from their parents and putting them in the Christian convents, and then putting them into Australian homes. And the goal was to breed them out. The
Hmm.
government was doing this. They had a portrait where the third generation, that child was blonde hair, blue eyes. But
Hmm.
these girls traveled 900 miles through the desert, young girls. So when you talk about the human spirit, there's nothing more powerful.
Yes,
And when you can tap into that, there's nothing that you can't do.
exactly.
And that's what I'm.
And that's individually and collectively.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so we
And
need,
we need that more now than ever before.
absolutely, we need 1,000 Yorli Huffs out here, because there's so many people, they go up against the monster, and they fold, because
Yeah,
they don't know what to do, or they're afraid. There's so much fear that has been
yes.
instilled. And so you have definitely triumphed over that. And so you talked about your founder, president, and CEO of Engendering Spirit Inc. Tell
It's
us.
Engendering Strength Inc. Engendering means to create.
Okay,
So I am a living testimony to create strength.
okay. And so how do you work with people in your organization?
As a sublimation manufacturer, I help other designers and artists and creators by creating their gear um, via sublimation. As the CEO, I work with the youth. I have employed the youth in summer programs and done boot camps and motivational speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also working with the Ray of Hope Foundation. I'm on a scholarship committee there. We issue out scholarships to our young Black girls in need and single moms and young men as well.
Okay.
Um, I
So
do
so
speaking
so
engagements.
so through your foundation, then you're able to work with other organizations, and through your foundation, you evolved your comics, would you say?
Well, I don't have a foundation. I work with the Ray of Hope Foundation. I'm
Okay.
on the scholarship committee with their foundation.
Okay, with their foundation. Now,
Yes.
Real Hope, I actually took some time to look at that organization.
Good. Yes.
That is a beautiful
Yes.
organization. You're on the
Yes, it is.
scholarship. They've given, was that I see $7 million,
70,000.
70,000.
And
Okay,
we just had another awarding this past Sunday. So it's even more than that now.
and I listened to the response of some of the young people that you have helped. So what is? Tell us about RIA Foundation.
The Ray of Hope Foundation was created based on the founder's parents, in
Hmm.
honor of her parents that have passed away. And she wanted to make sure that she gives back. She's an educator. And she also had a brother who was uneducated. I think he had a third grade education, but he always was giving. He always was taking care of others, taking care of his family. So they have a scholarship for the young men in his honor. And last Sunday, we had another family in honor of their wife and mother who had passed away. They had created another scholarship to give away more funds.
Hmm.
So it's just a total commitment to give back to those in need, those who are impoverished, who face financial challenges, who face social challenges, and those in need, to help them further their education.
Now, there's so many people out here with, what you mentioned. We know about the poverty, that we have in this country. We have so many homeless people. Um,
Yes,
I've worked in the public schools, and there's so many children that have so many problems. That are. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then you have the children with disabilities,
yes,
and the social ills that they're dealing with, or that they're going to have to deal with at some point. Uh, we're not embracing that community like we should be.
yes,
So, do you work with individuals with disabilities?
yes,
Hmm.
yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, I think that's wonderful. It's very heartwarming. The RIA Foundation, the RIA Hope Foundation. And so,
Yeah.
how can people support the RIA Hope Foundation? Where would they go?
They can go to the website, rarhope.com,
Mhm.
and then they can join them in their charity events and their fundraising events. They should have a calendar there because
Okay.
they do things year round to raise funds for the scholarship.
Okay. Okay.
And then we have a red carpet event once a year to present the winners of the scholarship and their family
Okay.
and welcome them into the Ray of Hope family.
And how long has RIA Hope been around?
Oh,
Think for a long time.
17 years, 19 years.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
okay. That's a long time. But it
Yeah.
seems like a beautiful foundation. Now, my heart was warm, and I was reading about it and listening to
Yeah.
tapes on the internet. So yeah, family, the Real Hope Foundation is a great foundation. You should check them out. Check them out.
Yeah.
We have to be stewards. So, there's lots of contributions that can be made to help people that are getting out here trying to do something to make a difference in our community. So, I think they're a wonderful organization from what I've seen.
Yes, they
Uh,
are.
Now, you mentioned that you're an international motivational speaker. Where all have you been with your message?
I've been to South Africa, um, all over the United States. I've
Okay,
been to a few countries in South Africa.
okay. So
Yeah.
you've been able to speak about what's happened to you, and
Yes.
and what has how have they received that, you know?
It is well received, and I think oftentimes that everyone can relate because they've had an experience, whether they've talked about it or even spoke about it or not, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever they've chosen to um, do about it, but they have had experience with discrimination, so they totally get it.
Yeah, I mean, and look, that discrimination layer, it is not just here in America, you know, it's
Yes,
definitely on the continent. You know, our people were, you know, had to go through slavery, you know, and many areas in Africa had to deal with
and then apartheid.
discrimination and
Yeah.
apartheid. Absolutely. And
And the strangest thing, I was there with my sponsors, and we went to this store, and they wanted to go shopping. So I'm standing like at the front door, and I'm just standing. And this white lady comes up to me. She's like, "Are you security here?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Well, why are you standing like that?" And I'm looking at her like, "Lady, if you don't get out of my face."
she don't know who she talking to.
Exactly. Like,
She
this ain't that. I
no.
might look,
I'm
but this ain't that. So I'm gonna let you have it today, apartheid and all. It's gonna be a problem up in here. Just go head on.
oh my goodness.
So really, even any expression of authority is really questioned. It was really weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've traveled to different parts of the continent, and surprisingly, um, not confrontation with white people, but some of the Asian people that are, you know, like we're over in Nigeria, and then I went
Yeah,
to France, and you know, the
they're taking over,
really,
fighting for territory for the resources. Yeah, they
mhm,
were just beginning when I went there, and then in going to China, um, they haven't seen too many black people, and they're rude. They're very rude.
oh my,
Um, so it's just like we're walking down the sidewalk. I'm going to have some meetings, and this one lady just tries to walk all over me
mhm,
and run me over with her buggy. Now there was room for her, but she came in my direction, so I just stopped and looked at her like, you probably are not making a good decision right now.
mhm,
And so you probably need to go elsewhere with that, because you're going to get mopped up
mm,
on this.
mm, mm, mm.
I mean,
Oh my goodness.
and then she looks at my stance and, like, and goes around me like, okay, all right,
Oh, yeah, she doesn't know you from the west side, and then you got all of this police training,
right,
dealing with drug dealers, and
right, right,
you know, so yeah, yeah, yeah. You never know when you meet people.
right.
Can't assume. Well, you know what initially brought me to you was, you know, I was looking for a black superhero shirt because they want you to wear superhero shirts where I worked on certain days, and of course I'm in Walmart getting the Marvel comics, and I'm like, I don't like this. I know it's some black superheroes, and somebody gave me your name,
Yes.
and I'm so glad because I went to your website, and I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed
Well,
with
thank you.
the graphics, the
Yeah.
superheroes, and then you've got jackets, and you've got pants and top to match. Um, and then you say you have shoes. Uh,
Yeah.
just
I'm always creating. Yes.
so give a rundown again of the products that you have with your superhero.
So I manufacture myself t-shirts, leggings. I have dresses, socks, bucket hats, baseball jackets, and custom jackets that are my own designs that I make. I have some high waist motorcycle jackets, some bolero jackets for the sororities, printed in sororities, and they come in solid colors as well.
Okay.
I have different variations of jackets, very fashionable. Um, Whatever I can think of to
You're
create.
wearing one of your shirts, right?
Yes, yes,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
yes, I am.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Can you sit up a little bit so we can see? Look at that. Look at that. That is absolutely wonderful. Well, I've ordered two, so
Yes,
I can't wait to get mine.
yes. We're gonna make sure we get you dressed and
Uh,
bring out the superhero in you, so you can go
that's right.
influence the superhero in those kids.
That's right. You got short
Yes,
sleeve, you got long sleeve.
yes. We
Mm-hmm.
have V-neck. I have lace backs, t-shirts, whatever you can think of,
Wow.
whatever I can think to make. That's what I got.
And what was the inspiration behind your superheroes?
Well, she is me animated, and she, like me, is on a journey, and she has super natural powers. Like you mentioned, the veil has a very spiritual significance. It means that you have a spiritual connection with God. And so my gift, one of my gifts, is that I dream and my dreams come true.
Mm-hmm.
So she has the vortex. She can transport, teleport, mind read, and transform. And the elders are waiting to turn over an entire universe to her once they see that she understands that her powers are for service to others and not for herself.
Okay.
So she is me animated in various forms and on her journey to um, have service and perform service to others.
So there's a story behind each of the
Yes,
heroes because
yes,
she's one of them.
yes.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So how can someone get your products? Where would they go?
You can go to the website, superherohuff.com. Everything social media is Superhero Huff. Um, you can go on the website, Amazon. We prefer for you to hit us up on social media, and we will get you covered and take care of you and help you bring out the superhero in you.
Wow. Now you have did you tell me that you have a film that you're working on a film
Yes.
or a cartoon?
There's a whole enterprise, series of movies, action films. I have a animation that I pitched to Disney,
Mm-hmm.
family cartoon, the regular cartoon, a television series. I have 5 years of undercover work that I've never written about. We want a television series for that, and just to be able to create and build.
Okay. That's wonderful. That's
Thank you.
absolutely wonderful. I mean, I think that is just fantastic.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the success in
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
what you're
Yes.
doing. And then the fact that you're helping other people and
Yes.
especially helping our young people. Because I remember, I worked at a school where they closed it was a vocational school, and
Yes.
they discontinued the graphic design
Yes.
department. And I thought, I'm like, this is ridiculous. All these young people in here that have this talent,
Talent, right? And they
mhm,
need a way to express it.
applications, and
Yeah.
yeah, and that needs to be. And they were saying, oh, we don't have enough people going into this field, and that's not what I saw.
Yeah.
The teacher was getting over $200,000 a year in scholarships for his students, to get into college. So what are you talking about?
Right.
know,
Right.
Trying to stifle the creativity. So,
Exactly.
hmm so do who comes to you for help with their brands? These mostly younger people or older people?
There are various ages depending on what their need is. Maybe they are artists. I have one client, she's a paper artist, so she makes art out of all different types of paper. And so we are able to take her images and make a high resolution image of it, and then put it on shower curtains, bed linen, tablecloths, whatever, mugs.
So what did she advertise on Instagram or Etsy or something like that?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay. So I have
Yes.
to start looking at those platforms more often because I know there's just so many people out here
Yes.
doing this work. Wow.
Yes.
Well, Yurli, it's been wonderful talking to you.
Likewise.
Uh,
Thank you so much.
I'm very proud of the work that you have done and are continuing
Thank
to
you.
do. Um, and I really want to thank you for coming tonight. And you can have some closing remarks here because we're a little past the top of the hour, but that's okay.
Well, thank you so much. It's been my honor and a pleasure. It is always a wonderful thing to get an opportunity to share my experience, my testimony, and for people to see, because to look at me, you would never know.
No, you
And
wouldn't.
so that's the best part about it. Um, so it is always an honor, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. And just in closing, to say that there is nothing that you will not be able to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing that you will experience that you were set up to fail for. You were set up for success.
Mm-hmm.
And everything works together for your good.
That's right.
Growth is painful, change is painful. But on the other side is the sunshine and the gratitude. And at the most interesting point in your life, you will begin to understand why.
Mm-hmm.
So know that you are covered and protected and given the power, no matter what you think, see, feel, or hear. You are set up for victory.
Thank you. Well, I don't know what else. I don't know what else you could say. To leave people with that. That's very
Yes,
inspiring. But I'm
thank you.
I'm gonna stay in touch with you. Uh,
Please, yes. And
this
we got to get you your
podcast
gear.
this podcast will be archived on our website, so anybody can come and watch it whenever they want. And I'm looking forward to getting my t-shirts.
Yes.
Okay, Yearly. Let's see here. Where am I? I have to handle all of this. So, friends and family, thank you for coming tonight to listen to Yorli Huff. This has been very inspiring. I ask you to go to her website and look at what she has to offer. Some wonderful Black superhero uh, gear. And so, again, well, thank you for coming tonight. You can go to rrgbc.org where you can donate to our organization to help us continue to do the work that we're doing. And also, you can purchase from our online store some of our products. And so, we want you to have a good night, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye, bye, Yearly.
Bye.